What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over Grant Morrison's Batman. Now, with that being said, the last couple of videos we have done for Grant Morrison's Batman, and matter of fact, there's a playlist to follow down below, but either way, though, when it comes to Grant Morrison's Batman, the last couple of videos we did actually was talking about the idea of three other people out there pretending to be Batman. Now, of course, we technically met all three, but at the same time, we didn't. And what I mean is that we did meet the first Batman, the fake Batman, the one who shot the Joker in the face right before the real Batman, Bruce Wayne, arrived to save the Joker, save James Gordon and the children that the Joker had kidnapped. Now, the second Batman we met a while back as well too, and that was a beast-type Batman. But of course, Batman and Tim Drake Robin were able to actually defeat that Batman. Now, the third Batman we met in a one-shot storyline in a possible future where Damian Wayne becomes Batman and fights against that third Batman. But now it's time for Bruce Wayne in the present day to actually meet the third Batman. Now, with that being said, when it comes to the third Batman, we have to remember that he's some kind of like anti-religious person. And so, of course, when he does come back, he's all about bringing hell to Gotham. And so, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into today's storyline right now. And so the opening pages of this book is basically opening up to the idea of the third Batman actually going to the GCPD. Now, of course, as a police department, they're just doing their usual task, escorting random criminals to their prison cells. But of course, that is the moment you do have this third Batman actually arrive. And of course, he does begin the process of causing commotion on the first floor of the GCPD building. Now, James Gordon, he's upstairs right now on the phone with the mayor because, of course, the mayor does not like the idea of the GCPD kind of having some kind of connection to Batman. But either way, though, you do have James Gordon hang up the phone because he hears what's going on down below. And of course, we know what's happening. Of course, it's the third Batman, the anti-religious Batman, attacking the GCPD. Now, Grant Morrison does remind us that right now Batman is technically dating someone named Jezebel. Now, Jezebel is going to be somewhat important for this storyline and possible videos down the road. But either way, she is the current girlfriend of Bruce Wayne. And of course, she does kind of tick off the ex-girlfriends of Bruce Wayne. So like Vicky Vale and Talia al Ghul and other females Bruce Wayne had dated as well over the years of him being, the hot man he is for the ladies out there. But of course, we actually do pick up with Bruce Wayne right now. You do have Alfred telling us that the news is talking about the idea of Bruce Wayne actually getting engaged to Jezebel. Now, of course, we know there is a possibility that could happen, but at the same time, the idea of Batman actually being married in the main DC timeline, at this point especially, is not going to happen. But either way, is Alfred kind of happy for Bruce Wayne? But on top of that, apparently, Bruce Wayne is getting ready for a big date with Jezebel, so he has no idea what's happening right now at the GCPD building. Now, of course, getting back over to the GCPD, we actually do see James Gordon right now trying to calm down the fake Batman, the Antichrist Batman. Now, with that being said, you do have the Antichrist Batman pull out a random badge. Now, of course, the reason why he's doing this is telling us that apparently this Antichrist Batman does have a connection to the GCPD. On top of that, he keeps saying that a character known as Forelli knows. Now, of course, we're going to find out who Forelli is, but of course, this Antichrist Batman is not listening to James Gordon. Even when James tries to calm him down, you have this Antichrist Batman actually knock out James Gordon and tells the rest of the officers that this is between him and, of course, the real Batman, Bruce Wayne. And so, of course, it's the Antichrist Batman asking for Bruce Wayne to actually show up. Now, actually getting over to Bruce Wayne Batman, we actually do see him on a date right now with Jezebel. And of course, we do see him right now in a hot air balloon with Isabel, and they're actually going to skydive from that hot air balloon into Gotham City, which to me seems like a very bad idea, but hey, what do I know? But either way, though, that is the moment you do have Bruce Wayne find out that apparently something is popping off, because, of course, you do have the GCPD call for Batman with, of course, his Batman light in the sky. And so you have Bruce Wayne realize that he is going to have to find a way to actually ditch Jezebel to go save the GCPD. And so he does tell Alfred to tell Jezebel that something happened to him when he skydived, and so that Bruce Wayne can basically go be Batman to go stop whatever is happening right now at the GCPD. Now, of course, we come to find out it wasn't really the GCPD calling for Batman. It was really this Antichrist fake Batman calling for Batman. Because again, this Antichrist Batman is apparently very upset with the real Batman. Now, with all that being said, though, this is the moment where you actually do have the Antichrist Batman tell us that apparently him and the other two fake Batmans have been together for a very long time. Now, of course, he kind of just leaves it at that, but he does give us their names. First one is Bronca, and the other one is Mueller. Now, Mueller we actually met and saw a whole lot more. That was the Beast-type Batman. And apparently you have this Antichrist Batman tell us that apparently he did let Mueller out of his prison cell. And so now that Beast-type Batman we saw in the earlier video, the one that kind of been using Venom, the same thing Bane used, is back out right now in Gotham, causing a problem. But of course, that is the moment you actually do have Bruce Wayne arrive to fight against this Antichrist Batman. Now, of course, it does lead into a battle between Batman and the Antichrist Batman. But either way, you do have Bruce Wayne actually tell us that when it comes to the Antichrist Batman, the way he's fighting, it's not amateur hour, it's actually professional hour, meaning that this is a real trained fake Batman who knows how to go toe-to-toe with Bruce Wayne. Now remember, Bruce Wayne does remind us, but remember, when it comes to Bruce Wayne, he remembers these three Batman characters, but he tells us when the first time he actually met them was in his dreams, especially with the Antichrist Batman, because he says the last time I saw him, he was in my dreams, not in real life. Now that is very interesting to say right there. But of course, when it comes to the Antichrist Batman, he's telling us it's Bruce Wayne's fault for the reason he is like this right now. And so now the question is, who's correct here? Is Bruce Wayne telling the truth that he only met these Batmans in his dreams? Or is this Antichrist Batman is the real deal, saying that, no, I met you before, Bruce Wayne, and it's your fault I'm like this? And of course, if the Antichrist Batman is saying that right there, on top of the idea we already saw two other fake Batmans, Bruce Wayne could be actually wrong here. He could have been somehow mind tricked because he may have forgot he actually met these three characters, and the reason why he met those characters, it led to them becoming the way they are right now, a Beast-type Batman or an Antichrist Batman, for another example there. Now, getting back into the fight between the Antichrist Batman and the real Batman, their fight does go on for a few more pages. But of course, remember, like Bruce Wayne said, this Antichrist Batman is not no amateur. It's the real deal. And so, of course, this fake Batman was able to actually defeat Bruce Wayne. Now, when the fake Batman does that, of course, he does knock out Bruce Wayne. And Bruce Wayne tried his best to stay awake. But of course, Bruce Wayne is unable to actually do that. But with Bruce Wayne being knocked out, of course, it does begin the process of Bruce Wayne actually dreaming. But of course, when he does that, of course, he is confronted by no other than Batmite. Now, Batmite is not going to be important at all for the storyline. Maybe a tad bit, but of course, not really for the overall storyline. Now, when it comes to the second chapter of this storyline, it basically does pick up with Batman kind of having flashbacks to different moments in his past. And the reason why I'm saying this because with Bat Devil or Antichrist Batman basically knocking out Bruce Wayne, that is why he's having these moments. Now, with that being said, though, while Batman are thinking about these different moments, most of these moments to me personally are not that important except one. It's where Batman basically kind of signed up to test some kind of space medicine. You heard that right. Test some kind of space medicine. Now, of course, this space medicine or drug was kind of making Batman kind of think of the worst moments of his life or the worst fears of his life as a way to kind of, I guess, push Batman beyond his limits. And so while Batman was locked away and testing this space medicine for this particular military group, of course, Batman basically thought of Robin, Tim Drake Robin, dying. And it really bothered Batman a lot because with him having two Robins, one not really being close to him anymore, Dick Grayson, and Jason Todd being dead at this point, he was really afraid of pushing Tim Drake away, but also losing Tim Drake as well. And so, of course, it's kind of Batman realizing as he was taking this space medicine that he cares for Tim Drake a lot and he wants to be close to Tim Drake. Now, the other two flashbacks that Batman has is one about Joe Chill, the guy who killed his parents, and also him going through some kind of ritual. But to me personally, those two don't really matter. I mean, yes, Joe Chill does matter, but for this storyline right here, honestly, I don't really actually care for it. And so we're going to move on to the next chapter of the storyline. And the reason why I say that, because after you have Batman have all of these different flashbacks, and when he wakes back up, he realized he's alive. But he realized that the reason why he had those flashbacks because he was actually near death. Like, he had a heart attack. He flatlined for 4 minutes until Bat Devil or Antichrist Batman was able to actually wake him back up, to bring him back to life. But of course, when Batman wakes back up, he is confronted by the Antichrist Batman, who is ready to actually continue to torture Bruce Wayne. Now, as we get into the third chapter of this storyline, we actually do pick up with Bat Devil continuing to talk to Bruce Wayne. Now, when Bat Devil or the Antichrist Batman actually talks to Bruce Wayne, you do have the Bat Devil kind of tell us that apparently him and a bunch of other cops were actually involved in some kind of experiment with the idea of what would happen if Batman had died. Because apparently when Batman was around his early days, or when he was younger, but not his early days, crime was actually going down. And the question was, what would happen if Batman died? Would crime go back up? And so, of course, apparently a bunch of these police officers had actually kind of got involved in some kind of science experiment. Now, with this science experiment, of course, it was kind of them going through the process of possibly making another Batman. Now, of course, you do have the Bat Devil not actually tell us that right now, but of course, that is what happened. Now, you do have Batman get knocked back out by Bat Devil, and this leads into another flashback. Now, with this flashback, is at a moment where apparently Batman kind of had blacked out, where, of course, it could have led to the death of Tim Drake. And with him blacking out, it was Batman kind of telling Tim Drake that with him blacking out, it endangers Tim Drake's life because Batman is not there to actually help Tim Drake because Bruce Wayne had blacked out. Now, this flashback, honestly, is not that hugely important. I mean, it is in a way, but of course, it's showing that the fears of Batman plays a fact into the idea of him being Batman. It's him going through different trauma points in his life that kind of led him into becoming Batman, but also pushing him to continue to be Batman. And apparently with Tim Drake being around, the stress with the idea of him possibly dying is kind of also pushing Bruce Wayne even more. Now, this is the moment where you basically kind of lead back into that flashback, what I was talking about earlier, where, of course, you had Batman hallucinate the idea of Tim Drake dying, because it's now becoming clear of what's going on with Batman, but with the idea of why he doesn't remember these three Batman characters. Because remember, Bruce Wayne did apparently agree to kind of take some kind of experiment on, or to help with experiment for some kind of space medicine. But with that space medicine, it was being led by a doctor called Simon Hurt. Now, that name is going to be very important. Now, with that being said, what Simon Hurt was doing, and I'm kind of confused on this, but kind of cutting out a piece of the brain, not literally, but mentally, and kind of shutting that part of the brain out to have that part of the brain be filled in by something more dark, an empty void of darkness. And I really hope I'm explaining this very well. But of course, it was a way for Batman, but also kind of like other people to kind of push out the worst part of their lives, or the worst parts of them out of their lives, so that they continue with who they are or who they're trying to become. And so with that being said, it was kind of Bruce Wayne telling us that when he had that flashback of Tim Drake dying in the last chapter, it actually was him realizing that the death of Tim Drake, it really haunts him. He's scared of that, but he needs to push that out so that he can avoid Tim Drake actually dying. Now, of course, the reason why I'm saying all of this for is because, again, that experiment was all being led by a character known as Simon Hurt. And this is where it gets even deeper. And so when it comes to Simon Hurt, what he was technically doing was trying to make his own Batmans through different experiments. But of course, he had to study Batman first. And so when it came to Batman actually taking that space medicine test earlier on, of course, it was a way for Simon Hurt to actually study Batman, to see what makes Batman Batman. And he realized that it takes all different kinds of trauma to make Bruce Wayne be Batman, and different trauma to keep Batman moving. And so that is why he kind of picked different police officers as a way to test them, just in case Bruce Wayne actually goes away and he's no longer Batman, and Gotham no longer has a Batman. And so it was Simon Hurt kind of doing these experiments for really dark reasons, but at the same time, he was trying to see if he was able to make another Batman, just in case Gotham City actually does lose their Batman. And so with that being said, that is why he made these different characters. The fake Batman we saw in the very first video, the one that was able to shoot the Joker in the face, because that police officer was a marksman. The second Batman was, of course, another officer, but he was pumped with venom thanks to this Simon Hurt character. And of course, the last one, this one, the Bat Devil, whose family was killed and left to believe they were killed off by some crazy God people or devil-like people. And so with that being said, it led into the creation of these three characters. I really hope I'm explaining this very well, because when it comes to this storyline and Grant Morrison, it's just crazy as heck, guys. I'm sorry, it's crazy as heck. But either way, though, it all comes together when Batman realized that he was technically being studied so that Simon Hurt can make more Batman as a way to protect Gotham. But of course, now these three guys have gone crazy and they're out there in the world. And so is Batman realizing he has to stop them. But it does lead into Bruce Wayne being able to break free to fight against Bat Devil. Now, when he does fight against Bat Devil, this fight does last for a few more pages. But while the fighting is going on, you actually do have Bruce Wayne tell us, the readers, that when it comes to this fight, he realized that he's Batman for a reason. But on top of that, he's the guy who has plans on plans on plans. Like, this dude has thought of everything that could possibly happen to him down the road. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because Batman realized that there could be a time somebody out there like him out there who could cause problems for him. And so he knew how to handle this guy. He knew how to fight against someone who's basically kind of like him. It's him saying, listen, I have thought of so many different things for a lot of different reasons, and this was one of them. Yes, it's messed up to think about this, but I had no choice just in case to actually prepare myself. But either way, you do have Batman being able to actually defeat the anti-devil Batman. But of course, he says, I have a sidekick, though. And of course, that sidekick is no other than the fake Batman, the fake Beast Batman, sorry. Now, this fake Beast Batman, of course, we saw a couple of videos ago. He's also back in the picture, but only for this one page. And the reason why, because he was shot down by Forelli. Now, Forelli is a cop who actually knew about the experiments going on. And this is where we get a little bit more information from Forelli. And what he tells us is that apparently him and these other 3 Batman and a few other cops, they were part of a military experiment, the same one that Batman was in when it came to testing space medicine, quotation marks there. But of course, the reason why they're all part of those experiments was just in case Batman did die, that these experiments could basically make another Batman, a backup Batman, because we never know that there could be a time where Batman is actually dead. And honestly, this was probably Grant Morrison telling us that he was going to kill off Bruce Wayne temporarily in his run to put Dick Grayson in Batman. But of course, either way, this kind of ends the whole 3 different Batman characters, because anti-devil Batman is going to get locked up. The other Batman's on the loose, but Beast Batman, he's technically dead right now. But this kind of wraps up this whole crazy multi-part storyline that we have been covering. Now, after that, you do have Batman kind of go to a nearby alley, and he does switch back into his jumpsuit outfit he was wearing when he was going to skydive with Jezebel. And the reason why, because remember, he had to tell Alfred to tell Jezebel that something had happened to him just because he can go out there and be Batman. And so his game plan is to say that he crash land apparently in a trash can, badly injured, and he told Alfred to basically call in the press so that he can kind of play with the idea he was actually hurt, so that Jezebel wouldn't get mad at him, but also be concerned for him. But this is where we're going to end today's video. And this is honestly the weaker points of Grant Morrison's Batman run. I just went ahead and covered them because I felt like it will be a good idea, because even though they're not all out great, and I did have a hard time explaining what in the world was going on in this video, Grant Morrison's Batman is still pretty good. And matter of fact, we're going to move into, I want to say up next is the return of Ra's al Ghul. And that storyline right there is going to be a huge thing. And then we get into Dick Grayson being Batman as well. But with that being said, I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. Guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.